Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel. So I asked on my Instagram what video you guys would rather see, and a lot of people said they would rather see the video of how I almost died, which is kind of crazy, seems really dramatic. It was. So grab some popcorn, grab a drink, grab some chocolate, and sit down and let's jump into the story. But before we do, I want to make sure you guys hit that subscribe button and hit that bell notification button so you'll get notified every time we upload. So I'm out of breath because I just ran upstairs. Whew. So this goes back, for those who don't know me, I have been snowboarding my whole entire life. I was on University of Oregon snowboarding team and I absolutely loved it. I started it in 7th grade. Going into high school, I wasn't allowed to snowboard just because I was on a competitive drill team which danced around everywhere and they didn't want you doing anything that could potentially hurt yourself and take you out of competition. So I sneakily always snowboarded, which I wasn't supposed to, and I broke my rib, so my rib sticks out now. I broke my wrist, and right after high school, this is where the whole incidents happened. So this starts with my best friend, Martin. I've known him since I was in 7th grade, and so me and him worked at a resort here in Utah called Brighton, and this was right when I graduated high school. So early mornings I would go up to Brighton and I would set up their skis and snowboards for people who want to rent, and then part of the perk is that you get a free pass or you can go riding if it's slow. So I was doing a night shift with Martin and he worked on the resort. So he was actually the one who set up like all the jumps and groomed them and all of that sort. Snowboarding from 7th grade with Martin all the way up until now, I always snowboarded with the guys. And it was just a big group of us that we would always go snowboarding with. And I love snowboarding with them because they pushed me and challenged me to do the park and to do more things outside my comfort zone than just ride. And I really got addicted to the park and I absolutely loved it. And so there was times where I didn't feel like I could nail something or do something, and because I was riding with them. It was night boarding and I hate night boarding. Let me just put that out there. The reason being, it's usually really cold. You can't really see because I'm already blind as a bat as it is. And then on top of it, a lot of times it's really icy. You don't have the best snow. And so Martin was working and he wanted to go night boarding. And so I was like, sure, I'll go night boarding with you. So I went up and we were riding and we went through the park and he was doing things that I wanted to do. And I wanted to secretly impress him because I want him to be like, whoa, Kat's a bad chick. She's hitting these jumps and stuff. So he went and did this really, in my head, really big jump. And it was one of those jumps who've never been snowboarding that you go off, I don't even know how to explain this. Maybe I'll put a picture right here. There you go off and it shoots you up and there's basically a flat lip. And then it goes down and these are just bigger jumps. And so he did that jump, and what was happening, the problem before is when I was riding by myself before, I had boa boots. If you don't know what boa boots, pop them right there. And so I was riding before by myself and I had them really loose and I was going up on the mountain and they weren't tight enough because I was just quickly trying to get my boots on and meet up. So when I'm riding with Martin, he hits this jump and I'm like, ooh, that's he got a lot of air because Martin is so freaking good at snowboarding. And I was like, okay, ooh, I don't know if I should do this. And there's that little inkling in me that's Kat, you should not do this. And so I clearly didn't listen to it. And I went off the jump and I landed and I immediately knew something happened. I just heard this big snap. It was the most excruciating pain when I landed. And I was rocking back and forth and Martin's at the end of the mountain and he's waving me to come down and I'm shaking my head and I'm not crying. But I just knew something happened. And I will have to say, I honestly have a really high tolerance for pain. And at this moment, I knew that I broke it, but I wasn't crying. And I was rocking back and forth and
sorry, Mom. Sorry.
I was saying every cuss word underneath the sun and I don't swear. So he came up and he was like, what the heck? And was rocking back and forth. He's like, you need to go, like, we need to go down, like, what's going on? Did you just sprain it? And I was like, no, I think I broke it. And he goes, no, if you broke it, you would be crying right now. I was like, well, maybe I didn't break it and I'm just like being a big baby. But so I was sitting there, I was like, I don't know if I can get down. And honestly, this part was like all a blur, but somehow I got down the mountain. I don't remember how, but somehow I got down. And I went into the nurse's station where they have a medical team, and they're looking at me, and it started to swell. And I'm like, is it just sprained? And I don't know what to do. And Martin, don't come at him, you guys, okay? This isn't his fault. But I was the one like acting chill and cool, and I was thinking in my head, I know I did something, but I'm not crying and I'm not freaking out, so maybe I didn't do something, and I'm second guessing myself. So he went up and he's like, I'm gonna finish working and ride some more laps. And so he left, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, I was like, what do I do? And they're like, you need to go to the hospital. If I were you, you should go to the hospital now. So I call up my mom, and it's really late at night, and I'm like, Mom, I'm heading into the hospital. And I was in college, I was living out on my own, but I still lived like 30 minutes away from home. And she says to me,
can this wait till the morning?
Because her thinking was that it wasn't that big a deal, and she doesn't want to pay like an emergency room visit versus like a doctor's visit. And I looked at the nurse, and she's like, no, like, you need to go now. So I'm like, no, I need to go now. So I finally wait for Martin, and it felt like an eternity. It felt like hours, but I don't even know how long it was. And he got done. So he's driving me down the mountain, and like every turn and bump, like my foot is just dangling, and I'm like, oh, please slow down. So I got to the emergency room. My brother Kurt met me there, and my parents. My brother Kurt bought like 1 million balloons and brought in, and then he goes, I swear, if you're faking and this is nothing in a sprained ankle, I'm popping every one of these balloons. And I'm like, oh shoot. So I go in, and they do the x-ray, and they come back and they said, you shattered your ankle. Like, it is shattered and it needs emergency surgery right now. I was blown away. I could not believe that's what I did. I didn't cry, and I was like trying to make it seem cool, but my ankle literally was completely shattered. It wasn't broken, it was shattered. I go in for emergency surgery. I get the surgery and I come out. I don't know how long, but it was basically hours. I just came out. And they were giving me morphine, but it wasn't like working. I could still feel the pain, and this is when I started to cry. And this day, it just happened to be that my brother came home from war, or from Iraq, Pat, and so he was very kind of like, you know, on edge. So he came in and I was crying, and he's like, can you guys get her more medicine? And he's like, she needs to get more medicine. And so they kind of were frantic, and they came in and put more morphine in, like I think it was a double or triple dose of morphine through my IV. So everyone leaves. My parents are out getting food, and my girlfriend Monica seriously saved my life, like really saved my life. She works in the hospital. She was sitting by my side, and she was watching me, and she noticed that my breathing started to go down like very slowly. I started to turn blue, and she immediately knew something was wrong. I don't know, this was like, you guys, this was like clear back in 2009 or 10, and I don't know at this time if they didn't have things to like monitor that, but like nothing was going off to alert people. And next thing she knows is that I stopped breathing. She runs out into the hall, and she says like, someone needs to come in here, she's not breathing. And they come in, and sure enough, like I wasn't breathing. I went into respiratory arrest. So they start yelling like, code blue, code blue, code blue. And everybody's running into my room, and my parents hear the code blue, and my parents have been in the medical field, and they knew, oh my gosh, what code blue was. And then they yelled out my room number, and they start running back. So they run into the room, and they have, what is that called? It's like a shock cart or whatever for cardiac arrest. They run in, they push Monica out of the room, and my parents run in, and they're like, what's going on? And they're trying to shove my parents out of the room. What's going on with our daughter? What happened is that because I was so active and I worked out and snowboarded and did all these things, when they gave me morphine, I didn't metabolize it as a normal person would. And so when they gave me all those more dosages, because it wasn't being released, it all released at one time and made me go into respiratory arrest. And so they brought the shot card out, and then they gave me a dose through my IV, and brought me back. And honestly, you guys, it was exactly like the dreams. I'm not kidding you. When you're like waking up and it's like blurry and your eyes are blinking and everyone is like talking slow motion and in a deep voice, and they ask me where I'm at, and I'm all West Valley, which that's not where I was at. I really didn't know where I was at. It's seriously like the movies like that. But they're able to get it under control, and so I seriously owe my life to my friend Monica for being in there and being attentive to me, and B, going and getting people and letting them know something is wrong with me. I will show you guys my x-rays, kind of show what my ankle looks like at this moment. I still have the hardware in it and it hurts, and so I'm thinking about getting it removed. I'm not quite sure. And I have like a killer scar that looks amazing. I'll show it to you guys. So this is my scar right here. This is where like the nails are in and the plate. And then on this side, I don't even think you can see a scar. It's like right here, but I don't even know if the camera can pick it up. That's where the nail's coming up my whole entire leg. I gotta head out to go feed Brooks. That is the story, and I hope you guys liked it, and I will see you guys next time.